o'clock. A quorum.
And Lynn, we're recording.
Hello, Lynn.
She's ignoring us, but I believe we're recording, so
Okay,
we can start.
the clock will call the meeting. We'll go around the table and introduce ourselves for record.
Darren Wise, staff liaison.
Vicki Olson.
Christina Fadenrecht, member.
Gary Walbotny, Planning Commission, and here to just give a little public comment tonight.
Mary Von Berger, City Council liaison.
Good. I'm Bob McCarthy, Chair. And our members online.
Owen Zentles, community member.
Shannon Knight, Vice Chair.
Public comment.
It's me, Gary Walbotny, West Linn, and member of the Planning Commission, and previously a member of CCI for 6 years. I just want to commend and thank everyone for the new bylaws for the CCI, because this has been a long time coming to get this pushed through, and a special thanks to Shannon, who really bore the brunt of this drafted new bylaws. So anyway, I just want to thank everyone for doing it. I think this is advantageous to increase public participation. CCI first started up again back in 2017. There were 2 members of the city council. There was chair or vice chair of the planning commission, member of the business community. Let's see who else?
NAP president.
Yes. President of neighborhood associations, and only 2 members from the public. And so there's been this transition and a number of bylaw changes during the past 7 years or so. So this is really good. Bring the community into the for community involvement. So thank you. That was the only reason I was here tonight, was just to thank everyone for this.
Can you take a minute to talk about your participation?
Well, I think, it's been a transition. I think this, Shannon probably was much more involved when we started a couple of years ago. So I think that came out of just some other considerations of the bylaws and things that we were doing. So Shannon probably has an even better history presenting that, but I have a longer term view. I'm glad it's reached its point.
President, which is the reason actually that I chose to accept the now president's request to be a member of the broader purview of this.
Yeah.
Thank Councilor. So any other comments? Gary?
I was just going to say thank you, Gary, for your help in it too.
Thank you. There's one other thing that I'd like to just mention, because I talk about this regularly, and Darren knows what I'm going to say. I think that is the July 2018 report from the CCI to City Council. If you haven't read it, I suggest reading it. It's on the docket for consideration. I think the point of all of it is that it took a very comprehensive view of land use permitting process in West Linn. And I think it stands, at this point, it stands to have further consideration, because there's been some changes in maybe the development code. But I think there's still some valuable information and things that can be done. Included in that are things that are slated really for the CCI to work. Leave it at that.
Have a copy, right? Thank you for pointing that out.
I was very impressed when I read this, your report. Very detailed.
So there were 40 meetings in the course of a year and a half to prepare that report. Presentations and research and then pulling it all together. So a lot of people.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think since we have our new bylaws, we can be a little more flexible on what we put on our agendas. So we can try to bring that forward again. I know when council was, when I was trying to do the bylaws, I tried to bring it up through council and just wasn't getting anyone to really understand what it was or whatever. So I think we have to go through and try to bullet point what it is for them and stuff before we take it to them again.
I think we'll count on you for the, taking lead on that, Shannon.
You know, that report was done, right, finished right when I started on CCI, so I actually don't have as much experience on that report, but I'm happy to, you know, go through it and try to help, but I'm not the best, you know, I don't have the history of it.
Well, you probably have more than the rest of us. I don't see it. Sorry right now.
Yep, thanks. See you all later.
Thank
I guess one other point, with the new bylaws, it creates more flexibility for a representative liaison from the planning commission. So through chair, vice chair, their time demands. Sure that we get someone as liaison. CCI.
Is that you volunteering to come back, Gary?
Potentially volunteering. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. All right, that's helpful. Minutes, let's take a look at those if you would, and good, I thought, productive discussion about the community vision plan for Highway 43. Would request a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the minutes. Is it, I said it right?
Second. Discussion, changes. Fine, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm a little ditzy tonight. Your vote regarding the approval of minutes. Okay. So let's talk about these bylaws. The purpose of the discussion is to refresh our memory, or
I had written down that you wanted to have a discussion about the implications for this CCI of the new bylaws. So it might be a good just segue into the annual report also. It's the members of the CCI are anticipating wanting to focus on over the next year. Now that the scope of the CCI has been widened to not only land use planning, but all issues in front of the city.
I assume that the annual report is similar to those that are asked of the neighborhood associations.
Yes, so I sent a copy from last year. The accomplishments, which I'll just sort of skip ahead to the next agenda item real quick, but
Yeah.
so there's accomplishments which staff will fill in. We just go back to the agendas and look at what's done with the CCI. But then we want to focus on the 2023 challenges and then 2024 council goal setting. So that's really where council's looking for the advisory group's feedback on what some important goals for the community might be. And then again, there's other additional feedback to share with council. So
Does everyone have a copy of?
you get a copy of it.
I don't.
Yeah, so I think we should put under there the approval of the new bylaws as an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
vote.
You also put on there that how we worked on the working groups, Highway 43, we got that completed in the body fund. You put those on there?
Yep, that'll all be on there.
Did we create a report or a template? I think this happened when I was gone for council. Oh, we did that too,
We
right?
did
Okay.
create a template for,
Good.
Yeah,
And we did, and I forgot after last meeting that we didn't use it.
Oh,
well, I don't think we've officially been instructed to use it as of yet. We're still finalizing what exactly it is.
I talked to John Williams about that today. I think it just got there was a little miscommunication in the process. So I think we just need to move forward and
Maybe start 2024 off with
something like that.
report every month. Yeah.
Yes.
so what's the time frame for this report? January?
The annual report.
Annual report.
Yeah, so we'll discuss it tonight. I'll put it all together, typically send it to you and Shannon. I can send it to everybody though.
Send it there.
Make sure everyone is in agreement and then we submit it to administration. They give it to council for their goal setting session.
So we run into a problem with how we communicate all of that. Do we need perhaps January meeting to review it?
So it's due in mid-December. So yeah, so I'll cobble together all the information tonight. I'll send it out to everybody. Just respond directly to me and not the group. And
Dylan sent out a notice that it's due from neighborhood association by mid-December.
Yep.
And our response is not a chance because it needs to be reviewed by membership and that's not gonna happen until January. And then it can be, he's very open about that. It's just, the date is. Well, what else? As long as we're working on this,
on our report.
on this annual report, and what else? We've mentioned a couple of things there. Does this include what we intend to do for
2024. Yeah.
2024?
Yeah. So there's the accomplishments. Again, this is last year's report, so the dates are all off.
Oh,
But yeah. So mentioned like 4 accomplishments, but again, I'll go through each of the agendas, what we talked about, and then get all that filled in. And really what I need you all to focus on is what you want council to know were your challenges, CCI this year, what you think is important for the council to discuss at their goal setting session for 2024, and then any other feedback that you want to give council.
Are we commenting on it now?
But I think we should, as long as we're on this topic, we'll go back and.
I have a couple challenges. So how about communication between the community advisory group? That always been how we communicate, they need to communicate with the staff or with other members of other groups. And then the city website, I don't even know what, remember how difficult that is? It's still difficult. Is that ever going to be changed or? I think
The overall website or just CCI specific? Overall. I do know that they are doing some different things. Project focused portal, so where you can go and find like top 9, 10, 12, whatever is going on, like, you know, recreation center meetings, Highway 43 vision plan, waterfront plan, whatever's going on with engineering, whatever councils got on their priority list. So they are working on that. So it'd be easier to go find the big projects the city's working on, and the interface would be on, I'll call it slick, right? But more modern, where you can put surveys on there, so you can go in and click and take like a 5-question survey, provide feedback right there, right on the website, instead of having to go to someone's email and send that. So that is definitely coming. I'm not sure when it's going to be active, but the waterfront and Highway 43, those are going to be sort of the two big ones that kick it off. But as far as the bigger overhaul of the website, I'm not sure. I know it's a huge lift.
That's
I
great to
can-
hear, though, that they're gonna have those
Put it on the
projects.
challenge.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep. And I can get our communications staff person, Danielle, come and talk to the CCI too about just communications in general, if you'd like, at some point.
I'd like to know more about the community advisory groups.
I mean, how they, because I don't even know how they communicate. How do other chairs communicate with other chairs if they have a question?
It would typically be done through the staff
The
liaison,
staff, okay.
and then we can connect them up with emails.
Give me an example of the problems that.
I just think communication is. Do you think that it would be? See, then it's hard because you don't want them to have, you can't be, I wouldn't want my personal email to be. So that's why we go through you.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, just maybe something to look into.
So what's the idea? What do you think about having Danielle coming and talking to us? She's having communicating, thinking.
She's our communication, yeah?
I would say, in general, better conduit for all public servants, all members. That's a challenge that we face routinely. Spoken ad nauseum about. Oh crap! Tanner just emailed everybody. We're in a meeting. That's a huge challenge, right? And then we have the next challenge of can't even go to certain events all at the same time.
Okay. We can't, we just can't.
I mean, that's the thing, though. That's the challenge, right? It's like,
I think events are exempt from that rule, public meetings rule. And you can't discuss meeting topics, agenda items out of a meeting at an event. But if people are attending events together, there is a practice, at least if it's city council, I don't know if I've seen this for advisory groups, of noticing a quorum notice. For instance, if there's a quorum potentially going to be at an event, because enough council members have indicated interest in attending it. But it's really a formality because we're not discussing agenda items. We're not discussing council business, or you're not discussing necessarily your advisory group's business if you're going to the tree lighting ceremony.
And they do an annual ag training. It's typically late January, early February.
that's right.
So I've got this written down, so I'll make sure that the city attorney's office addresses that. If they probably do, but it might be something they just skip over really quickly, but it might be a good one to spend a few minutes on, just so everyone has a good understanding of.
Oh, and
what
Shannon, what do you think? The suggestions were made about challenges for 2024.
Yeah, I would just kind of piggyback on I mean, what we experienced this year was mostly the communication stuff, emails and how to communicate was a challenge that we, just kind of echoing what has already been said.
And then any thoughts?
I mean, I think the only challenge, while our bylaws were an accomplishment, trying to get them actually passed was a challenge. Because we were supposed to be on the agenda, then we weren't on the agenda, and that kind of stuff would be my only thing that I saw as a problem.
Any thoughts about the, how these bylaws will then change what we do next year? Or what you think we need to do next year?
Like I said, I think it's just a matter of freedom. So if something comes up, if there's some kind of topic that the community seems that we think what we hear is going to be really what we think important for the community to have input on, it gives us the freedom to discuss those things at a meeting.
Thanks.
Oh, I have another challenge.
It's not adding to the challenges, but my first meeting here, we were filling out that new template. And I'm wondering if that template was sort of like an executive summary for our meetings. If the purpose of that is for city council to share communications amongst each other for the general public, or if we're also, like if the intent is also for advisory groups to reference those summaries of other groups as a way of communication. I don't think it's the only solution, and it's a little bit clunky having to find the piece of paper and read it instead of talking to a human, but it could be like that accomplishment could be an answer.
So it could be a dual purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideally, that's what I would like to see is like at least CCI have access to those. So we know, what's coming down the pipeline kind of a thing with other groups.
Would we be able to post it on the city website where we have, like today, we have committee for citizen involvement, we have our agenda, all the info posted there.
See why we could.
Just one more way for people to get in.
I like it. Okay, so-
Yeah, I have something to ask. Just a question, could be out of ignorance, but like we talked a lot about the waterfront project and we talked a lot about the Highway 43 project. That's kind of all I can remember besides the CCI bylaws. Like we have the huge Salamo Street project happening right now. How does that fit in? Did I just miss that whole communication? Was it all last year? Like, I'm just curious. I mean, I don't really dig in enough to the details, but I guess I'm curious, like, was there an outreach to the community on that? And was it during this year? And how did I miss that or?
That would have been several years ago. That would have been
Okay.
right when we got the bond, that they did open houses on that. And I can tell you, it's been one of those things that wasn't really well attended or communicated or anything like that. I mean, I think there was, updates to council when they had to go for funding and that kind of stuff, but it wasn't. I think the communication could have been better. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, sorry. So Owen, the new sort of portal website that I was talking about, that would be a good spot to have like big public works projects like that, right? So if you don't know what's going on, you could go there and quickly find it, find the general information about it, have a feedback mechanism, that type of thing. And I don't want to put words in Shannon's mouth, but I think this was one of the reasons why the group went after the bylaw changes, right? Because, CCI is meant for goal 1 land use planning in the state of Oregon, but there was interest in projects that might not get as much community outreach, like bigger public works projects, and trying to get those projects more on the radar of the community and input in the beginning, as opposed to all of a sudden the project's happening and everyone wants to know what's going on, right? So Shannon, hopefully I didn't put words in your mouth, but that's the sense I got.
No, you're exactly right.
I have two challenges as well. I had time to percolate. One is I found that when we had a little bit more data-driven resources, felt like we were a little bit quicker to have feedback, and just having more any kind of survey or any kind of study group even done. So using our other CAGs and NAs to maybe just get a little bit of an actual survey response of, you know, these are questions and there's actual numbers behind it of, you know, true, false, A, B, C, D, other, something like that we can actually look at and what people are thinking. And then the other one is Tuesday meetings. I just put it out there. If it was any other day besides Tuesday, that would be really cool. Tuesdays are like the busiest day of the week, so.
Go back to the first one. You say that in a different way. Sure, I'm understanding. You're wanting some sort of feedback from advisory group or requests of what kind of community involvement there should be.
So in general, when we ask questions and we're looking for responses from anybody or anything, I think that having some kind of form that's fillable and not just with write-in responses, where then we have to go in and look at 200 unique responses, but there's obvious similarities. So for
Give me an example.
so an example is, are you aware of the plan changes to Highway 43 2025? Right.
The Likert scale is more quantitative than narrative.
Exactly.
You
Right.
can measure it by counting.
Yes. Yes. And I'm throwing blanks on good questions right now, but what should be the primary focus of a Project 43 coalition? You know, should it be small business? Should it be community accessibility? Should it be I don't know, goose walkways, something, right? Like, I don't know what good options are right now, but.
So before we have a 43 meeting, you would want to do like a survey to the general public?
Yeah, and I mean, we already do some of that.
Yes.
But I mean, as more follow-up for feedback. So I think it was the 43 working group approached us with numbers from similar responses, and that's something that I appreciate and has a clear example of 75% of people care about this. Expand and focus on that specific item. Maybe that's our job to provide some of those responses, and I think part of our goal setting.
So typically in a planning project, that is the way it's done, right? So
Yep.
So we're calling it Vision 43 is our marketing for the Highway 43 land use plan. But yeah, so there will be surveying done. There'll be outreach to individual groups, and it will be data driven, right? Because that's the way when you present something in the end to council, you want to show that 90% of the people in the community support this, right? You don't want just council to have to read 100 pages of responses. So yes, so we do that, and I'll circle back to something we talked about. And Christina, I apologize, it's probably before you were here, but how Hillsborough did their engagement plan.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about,
Yes.
it was focused on underrepresented communities, But you can do that for any kind of engagement plan where they set in the engagement plan, like what every plan or every program or plan or project had to do to reach the underrepresented communities. We could do that as a community also, come up with an engagement plan that says every project, like the Salamo project, you have to do these 10 things to make sure the community is aware of what's going on. Vision 43, you have to do these 10 things. And then that way, every parks project, every works project, every planning project would all be using the same tools and mechanisms and make sure the community is aware and we're getting the feedback we need. Okay. So right now, there's not one set way to do it across the city. Planning, we're planning, we're creatures of habit, right? So, we hire consultants, the consultants know what has worked in the past, what they've been doing and what the future is. So we'll figure all that out, help us navigate that. But, projects we're doing them ourselves. We don't have as much staff time and funding for it. So we just have to work through it and figure it out. So that's one thing you could maybe, putting words in your mouth, but that is one of the possible goals for council, right? Have the CCI work on a citywide engagement strategy.
I would really like to see that. I think that's a great idea.
See the same thing.
Because that could literally, and then council, EI is important, the most important thing to council, that could be represented very strongly throughout that document, right? And council gives the mandate to the city manager, every project does this, and then that's the expectation from staff. So. All right, so there's one of your city council goals, right?
Thoughts? Others?
All jokes aside, what would it take to move the meeting from Tuesday? And does that even facilitate destination else?
So I know, we could find another day of the week. We should meet once a month, so we could find another day of the week that potentially work when it's not trying not to overlap with other CAGs. But it's totally up to the group though. If everyone is in agreement with that, then we can start working on finding a different day.
So maybe
Okay.
on Mondays or Fridays.
Shannon, Owen, any thoughts on either a standardized engagement process or the idea of another day to meet other than Tuesday?
I don't have
I really-
anything to add. Sorry, I don't have anything to
Go on.
add in the day of the week. Makes no difference to me.
Shannon?
Yeah, like I said, I'm really in favor of a standardized process, and the day of the week doesn't necessarily matter. To me, Mondays I would prefer not. Monday's my worst day, so I would prefer not a Monday.
We wouldn't do Monday anyhow because that's council meeting. So.
Yeah.
And Friday is not.
Okay, no Mondays or Fridays.
Who wants to be here on a Friday night?
So it would have to be either a Wednesday or a Thursday. Thoughts? Why don't you take a look at what's possible?
Okay, I'll come back to the group. So maybe this.
Thank you.
But I'm assuming, I'm just jumping right ahead. I'm assuming that the December meeting we probably won't have because it will be the day after Christmas, right?
That's where we're my.
Well, are we not very day after Christmas? All in favor of not having a December meeting? Can I see a show of hands?
Thumbs up.
We're not
Day after
having-
Christmas.
we're not having a December meeting. Okay. So with that, look forward to, you're sending this out to us with your additions.
Yep.
We will individually put down our suggestions or challenges, and that will go directly to you. And you'll collate it.
I will, and I'll add some more of my own thoughts too, that you all can either agree with or disagree with, and get it wrapped up. I'll get it submitted for council's
Agree?
enjoyment at the retreat.
Yeah, I would just also say that we have it on the goal setting part from last year, that review of that report Gary was talking about, that 2018 report. So I think we could leave that on there as a continued, request.
Good. Yes. Owen?
This all sounds good.
So now let's back up
Okay.
and talk a bit about the Bible.
And like I said, I just think it gives us flexibility. I don't know if you necessarily want to discuss what it would be. I mean, I think we kind of hinted at it, that if we know what's going on with other CAGs, like if we're looking at their report, that'll give us insight into what we might, feel like, hey, this needs more public process or something like that. But other than that, I don't know that it significantly changes what we're going to, do
I
all
hear
the
you.
time.
Your perspective is that it gives us freedom to be more fully engaged in citizen involvement more broadly. And in fact, this idea of a strategic involvement process could be one of the first actions we take based on this. I do notice that there is an election for presiding officers. It says as soon as practicable each calendar year. It says to me we have an election coming up beginning of the
Yes, January or February.
Okay. So other comments about the bylaw?
Thank you for all your work on it. I know I wasn't here for most of the meat of it, and I just agree with the engagement strategy for the goal setting in this next year. I think it'll give this teeth, because this is great to have the freedom, but without something consistent that everybody can refer to, we'll just yelling into the void, hey, do more engagement and involve people, but we need something other than direction from us that people can refer to, employees and the public, to hold our projects and programs accountable. I love it. I love it.
Most of the credit goes to this young lady, right?
Thank you, Shannon.
Well done. It's nice to see work that you put so much effort into become real.
Yeah, and I had a conflict tonight, so I'm probably going to hop off in a few minutes. If you see me disappear, that's why.
Not sure what else we have on our agenda. CCI announcements. Any other comments about the bylaw?
So it's not about the bylaws specifically, but as we've been having this conversation, I was thinking, I think one good way to start off 2024 would be maybe not the very first meeting, but February or March, maybe get the new parks director. So we've got no one knows, we've got a brand new parks director, right? Megan has been here 6 weeks maybe, right?
Is it Megan?
Big John.
Big John.
Yeah, she came
Okay.
from Lake Oswego. She's very knowledgeable. And so we had the last two parks directors here for a span of about 40 years between the two of them. So, you know, it's a good chance to take a step back, look at the organization. And so it might be good to have Megan and then Eric, who's the new public works director, who's been in the seat for 5 months or so. And then talk to the CCI about what you envision as, you know, good engagement for projects that maybe typically don't get the full engagement outside of the process they did. So it might be just a good way first to meet them and then have that conversation. Which I know parks, when they do projects, they do a full suite engagement also.
I
Good
think that'd
to-
be great.
Comments? Like it, that's a good suggestion. Oh, Owen? Okay. All right, on early agenda, February, March.
Yep, absolutely.
Good.
And then no December meeting.
Let's do one. No December. Okay. Have some work to close out the year and meeting plans. Shannon shortly. Any announcements?
So Tanner, I sent you
I pulled it out.
and Owen, your term is up also, so I'm not sure if you were going to file again, but with the new bylaws, an AP president seat is also available, but not for the NAP president for anybody. And then the planning commission chair, vice chair seat. So there are actually four positions open on the CCI right now. So Owen, I hope you stick with us, but understood if it's a time commitment that you can't keep.
Yeah, I won't be sticking around. I just can't afford the time.
Well,
Disappointed, but understand.
but yeah, so I know you're interested in the bigger project, so stay engaged, get signed up for the email lists and engage when you can.
I will, thanks.
Yeah, and appreciate your time. But
Thanks.
there are 4 seats available, so Tanner, if you
I filled it.
apply, so yeah, so
I did
basically
pull
it'd be
that out.
3
So
seats.
with Owen, we have 5 seats
We'll have seats open, right? Yeah, so the 3 of you and Shannon, and Bob's seat, the planning commission chair and Owen's seat. So I believe council's gonna make appointments in December, so.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll go into the new year with the full 7 CCI.
Okay.
So other than that, I don't really have anything else major to announce here. I will say that we got the draft vision plan from the consultant for the waterfront project. So it's under review right now. We'll get comments by the end of the day tomorrow. So it's moving along. So beginning of the year is when the engagement is supposed to ramp up on the waterfront plan. So because they'll have that vision document to start taking out to the community and getting feedback. So that's exciting. That project's it's got some legs now. So
Looking forward to it.
Did that go out to all the members of the working group?
not yet. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, we're doing our internal
Internal first.
staff
Okay.
review,
Okay.
and then once we give them our feedback, then they'll finalize that, and then that'll be the next working discussion. Which I believe is coming up soon, isn't it?
Yes, it must be.
Yep. So that's why they.
Yeah, when are those working group meetings? Are those been scheduled?
I do not know off the top of my head, Shannon, but I can send that to the group. So
Okay.
yeah, they're,
Because they'll be open where we can listen to them. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, they're virtual, so you can watch or view them later.
Okay.
Any other announcements? Well, I'd just like to say, Owen, I understand and appreciate your need to leave, but I have to say, I will miss your solid, practical observation. Always seem very grounded. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, thanks for that. It was a good experience for me. It was a learning experience, and you know, I appreciate that. So I'll definitely stay in tune and engaged.
Good. I'm glad. Well, I'm no longer neighborhood association president.
That's right.
We had elections in November. Good group of new.
Who is the new Bolton president?
So the new Bolton president is Patrick Hogan on River Street. He's involved in pickleball. Been attending meetings. He's very thoughtful, direct, easy person to be public setting. Vice president is Vince Miles, who took over for Eric, who had some personal issues. And Vince is a go-getter. He just finishes. He was the one who looked at the various sites for permanent Bolton neighborhood signs, which we've never had, working with staff, and came up with pictures of locations, the design of the signs, and it's all been approved. So we're very happy with it. Oh, really? Approved. Very well. That's great. Location and the design of the sign. And Amanda Brookshire is the new secretary. She's manager of Mamabilia.
Hey, Familia?
Yes, thank you. And she's also a substitute teacher. She's the new secretary. Alfred Brown, who's retired from Tektronix and Xerox, treasurer. We have a really good group. DNA is new members. And,
Good. You should encourage them to invite my staff to come and talk about waterfront and Highway 43 sometime
I do that.
early next year. Which I'm sure they'll be reaching out to them anyhow, but
Any other thoughts? Observations for the good of the order? With that, meeting is ended.
thanks, Owen.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Owen.
Thank you, Owen.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Lynn. Well. Is it you?
So the first waterfront working group was November 2nd. And so I'm thinking the next one, it was the first Thursday of November. So
Maybe next week, yeah.
maybe next week, although I don't think I've gotten any information on it yet. But
I'll
in the next couple of weeks, it'll occur at 1 o'clock if it's the same as the last one. Virtual.
Everybody can attend a 1 o'clock meeting.
I mean, there were a lot of people there. I don't know who wasn't able to attend. I mean, I would assume that might be a problem for some people. So I didn't.
Unbelievably, we found that now that a lot of people working virtually, they prefer to just take an hour or two out of their day and do the meeting during that. Yeah, because the big working group we did for a bunch of projects, 4 to 5:30, so sort of the end of the day, but yeah, it eliminated conflicts with take children to soccer practice and have dinner and all that kind of stuff, getting it out of the way.
Video stopped.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.